Before we get going, I just want to take a moment to remember Lee Delwig, who started seeing the band in the 60s and was a fan right through the end. Rest in peace, Lee. Welcome to Guess the Year. I'm the host. My name's Mike. This week we're playing a team format. Here's how the game works. I play a song for a team of 3 comprised of returning Guess the Year contestants. After the song concludes, the team will discuss and ultimately submit a single guess of the live track's year. However many years off they are is their team score for that round. If they nail the year exactly, they get 0 points. If they're 1 year off, they get 1 point, and so on. After 5 songs, however many years off they are in total is their team's score for the game. On last week's episode, Kyle, Jared, and Joseph got 6 points. That's the score to beat for this week's team. Whichever team has the lower score wins a prize pack of Guess the Year shirts. Unlike the main tournament, where the winner stays on, these are one-off matches. We'll meet the Deadheads in a moment, but first, without further ado, the Grateful Dead. All right, we've got Riley, who was a finalist in episode 4. She's 18 from LA. Luke, who won episodes 4 through 7. He's 31 from Elliott, Maine. And Caleb, back with us, who won the first ever episode of Guess the Year. He's 29 from St. Louis. First thoughts, we'll kick it to King Luke over here. What are you thinking?
The first Grateful Dead song I listened to today when I was preparing for this to get my brain in the zone, the Jerry zone, was a Weather Report suite from 1974, the Seattle one. I wrote down 73 and 74. I'm leaning towards it being a 73 one, but I love the song pick. It sounded great. Sometimes I have a hard time, between those 2 years, like Wall of Sound years, and those phase canceling microphones, so they have that sort of clippy sound. But my first thoughts, maybe it's 73. Personally.
Great. And again, just to remind everyone, the number to beat is 6. Riley, where do you fall in on this?
I don't know. I think it definitely could be. I think I might have gotten kind of like a 76 kind of vibe. I just think it was sort of, I think the drumming felt and that kind of like fast-paced, energetic, kind of antsy feeling, I think was sort of in line with 76, 77. But I think it easily could be, it could be 73, 74, yeah.
Caleb, tiebreak here?
I was here in 91. No, I'm kidding. No, yeah, I think it was distinctly one drummer dead. I think it was just Bill. I would lean 73, 74 as well. And the only thing, I kind of hear I hear that 73 frenetic energy as well. But the only thing that leads me to think 74 is Phil was so loud. There were like some distinct Phil bombs in that, which happened all throughout their career, but 74, especially with that wall of sound, it was just otherworldly. So I would lean 73, 74. I would lean slightly towards 74.
Kind of feeling that too.
All right,
Yeah.
sure.
And it's more in the direction of 76 as well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that energy that Riley was talking about, they picked that up and put it down several times.
Yeah. All right, sure. 74 seems like a good guess.
So we all agree.
No hard objections.
For me, it was right down the middle of 73, 74. I was looking maybe for somebody to help guide, to one, which one of those it is, because they can sound pretty similar, especially with a Bobby singing song. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it was Let It Grow at the Selland Arena in Fresno, California on July 17th, 1974.
Let's go.
Nice job, guys.
Great teamwork there. So tell us more about those Phil bombs now that was what we heard there, Caleb.
Yeah, I mean, of course that happened all throughout. I think, yeah, when you talk 74, you're thinking wall of sound, I don't know which documentary it is, if it was The Long Strange Trip or something else, but somebody said you could hear the music perfectly, crisply clear up to a mile away from the wall of sound. Now that may just be hippie lore, but you got to think something like that factors into it.
For sure. Well, you guys have 0 points, which is a good place to be. So you have 4 more songs and 6 points to play with. I guess we'll go into the second song.
Look for a while at the turn, get sunflower pound, walking jingle in the midnight sun. But don't bolt it, silver, come on out like a crane, to quilt star gown to a dream, not win. Cheshire like a diamond I jack. A leaf of all colors plays golden, string fit up to a double, keep waterfall over my back.
Okay, let's go to our first champ ever, Caleb. What are your feelings there?
I was having to really closely listen to that one. When it's in that era, we're looking at late 80s into the 90s with Jerry's voice and just the big sound of the stadiums and arenas. Drums sound like absolute shit. I was listening mostly to the piano, trying to decipher if it was like a Bruce Vince situation, if it was a Brent situation, what was going on. So My gut, just throw out there, would be 90. Brent's last year. I think it was Brent. But I'd love my colleagues to weigh in on it.
Riley, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with 90. I think it's also a good way to hedge your bet in case it's either Bruce and Vince or Brent, because there's two halves of 90. He died in, I think, July, so it could be either, it could be either the first half or the second half. But it did sound more Brent to me, and yeah, and that's that kind of bouncy piano sound. Yeah, that late 80s arena drum sound. Jerry's voice just awful. So I would say like 89, 91. So I would say the good bet would be 90.
King Luke, how do you feel about it?
I wrote down 1990, and I hope it is because personally, it's my most listened to year of the Dead. It's my favorite era of the Dead. I love late 80s, early 90s Dead, and it had that vibe. And I really was having trouble, like if it was Vince and Bruce or Brent. It wasn't like that, like signature of a Brent thing. So that's where I was having a little trouble myself. But I do feel like it's a Brent era show, later one, maybe even summer 90. And
Yeah.
I'd also like to guess 90.
The only thing that pulled me from guessing 90 is that Jerry's voice sounded pretty bad, and
He sounds good in 90 most of the time.
he sounds good in 90. He sounds
yeah.
sounds pretty good in 91 too. It's not really until
Totally.
after 91 that he really starts like being tough to listen to. And this one he
Sometimes
was
there's
like,
those random shows though.
that's
You know,
true,
Mike's
yeah.
gotten me specifically on the show before where he picks that one show during an era where Jerry's voice usually sounds good. It's just a one bad night.
Having an off
So
night.
it could be one of those too. But yeah, that's a great point you
Yeah.
brought up. Absolutely, I agree.
Not a reason to. I think all three of our guts are feeling 90. No reason to pull us away, but just something worth noting is
Definitely.
seems like a rough Jerry vocal night.
Sure.
Great point. I just can't think of a better year than 90, but yeah, it's like, but that does make me want to pull back a little bit too. Like, is it, 88 or something? I don't.
Yeah, is it a random 93? Was that Vince that we were listening to?
Yeah, exactly. Just Vince.
Just Vince.
I feel maybe if it was like a 93 China Cat with just Vince, it would be like a more like tropical sounding, like MIDI, like synth tone, like something
So
like
synthy.
more cartoony.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that was
something
straight, that was
sci-fi
straight
sounding.
piano. That was straight
Definitely,
piano for
like
sure.
a reverbed piano, which is very Brent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 90 is the way to go.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. That's official. No objections. Okay.
No objections.
It was China Cat Sunflower at Shoreline Amphitheater in Mountain View, California on October 2nd, 1987.
Ooh.
Oh,
Wow.
crushed
Wow.
us.
Oh man.
Oh no.
Caleb with the great point could have. Oh man.
Yeah.
Knowing that now, Riley, what do you think? What do you think you guys misheard?
I mean, yeah, I think 87, his voice is still not quite at the peak that it would be around 88, 89. And it does sound like a Brent piano, even though it could be Vince too. So I think it easily could be 87, but it also sounded like it could be 93. I think there was a range. I think we were going for the middle of that range, but I think anytime after maybe 86, it could be anytime from maybe 86 to 95, technically. So I think I'm glad that it wasn't worse.
Yeah, we caught Jerry on the ascent into finding his voice again.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Didn't he flub a lyric there? Did that influence you guys at all?
No. That could have been between 65 and 95. Jerry fucking up the lyrics.
Yep.
No, but you're right with that point. I think in that era he got a little bit more mumbly than he had ever been. Sometimes would go like entire verses just not being able to find it. But I did not catch that. I think I was trying to figure out what the piano sound was too intently.
Same.
So,
Well, before we move on, I want to catch up with you or see what everyone's been doing one person at a time here. And Riley, last time we spoke to you was in November or something, and you had been listening to Grateful Dead for a year, and you had transitioned from Jimmy Buffett.
yes.
What is going on in your music listening life now?
Well, let's see. Since then, I actually have a show on my college radio station. So I keep trying to get into new music all the time, so I don't just play the same stuff. But I play a lot of Dead. I've been getting into more like Americana type stuff. Getting into really John Hyatt, I like a lot. Pete Yorn, John Prine. Keep trying to branch out, I don't just want to play the same stuff, but I play a lot of Dead. And they're one of the stalwarts.
How big is your slot?
3 hours once a week.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's if I can plug it, it's called WCNI New London, Connecticut. My show is called Pirate Radio. Mondays 3 to 6 p.m.
So that's people can listen online?
You can listen online on WCNIradio.org.
Do you have any legal limitations on what you can play, dead-wise or otherwise?
Well, you can't play vulgar music, pretty much. The Dead isn't really a big offender. So, but other than that, it's totally freeform. So anyone can play whatever they want, really, so long as it's not, super vulgar or obscene or, deeply offensive in some way. So every show is different. The person next to me could be, hardcore punk or, smooth jazz or 1700s Baroque, classical. It's totally freeform. It's a really cool thing.
What's the longest Dead song you've hit people with?
I try to keep it pretty tame because it's not a Dead show. I think I've done a 12-minute. Actually, no, I'm lying to you. I've done Terrapin. I've done Studio Terrapin. So, which I think is the best.
Nice.
That's 16, 17 minutes. But
That's just straight prog.
Yeah. But I think it works. But, I try to play Brown Eyed Women and, Jack Straw and stuff that, can maybe fit in a more traditional classic rock, AOR format, oriented rock format. But I've gone a little bit down the deep end.
Cool. All right, you guys have 3 songs left and 3 points to play with. So 3 to tie, 2 to win.
I think we're going to hit them all right on the head, personally.
Wow.
Put it out there.
Love it. All right. Caleb has called his shot, and let's play this song.
Walk me up in the morning to my home. Walk me up in the morning to today. I can't walk you up in the morning to my honey. Can't walk it out in the morning due today. Thought I heard heard a baby cry this morning. Thought I heard a baby cry today. You didn't hear no baby cry this morning. You didn't hear no baby cry today.
What are you thinking, Riley?
I'm thinking like 69. I think that that opening guitar, like kind of hard rock guitar sound, is very much like reminds me of like a Viola Lee blues or the 11 Saint Stephen kind of sound. Same thing with that organ sound. It's also like very strong on those 69, maybe 68 songs. Remind me a lot of like the Live Dead sound. And then that kind of jazzy it's not as slow and somber as that song would get later on. And like as the band went more Americana, 70, 71, 72. So I think of it as in their prog, psychedelic rock years more so, where they're a little harder. You have more of that high organ sound. I would say 69.
Luke, how are you feeling?
Okay, so I have a couple questions to raise here. Is TC there? Is TC not there? And that's just Pig doing the thing. If TC's there, then maybe it's definitely a 69, because I mean it's either 69 or 68. The only reason why I thought maybe it could be 68 is Jerry's doing that kind of vibrato-y vocal tremor thing that he does on the first Grateful Dead record, came out in 67, kind of like an earlier Jerry, that sort of folky, like vibrato-y thing, which that's kind of what made me think 68, but 69 also, it's like, that's also what I thought as well. So I'm torn between the 2 years. I also thought the last one was 90 and it was 87. So I really don't know.
Caleb, how do you feel about all this?
Can we play back to hear if TC is absolutely miserable? Can we hear his misery coming through and how much he hated being in the band? No, I mean, I'm not saying anything that hasn't already been said. I would maybe lean more towards 68 just to hedge a little bit, because I think in 69 the style was transforming a little bit more. You might not have had that vibrato voice Jerry, but yeah, it's really splitting hairs at this point to get to the right thing. I can't, one way or the other. 68, 69, I think we're stuck between the two. I think they played it in 67 like a handful of times, but I don't think it's probably that early.
Yeah. No. I was thinking, if anything, it's a later 68 too,
Yeah.
Like late 68, early 69.
Yeah.
But I don't want to pick the year. I don't want to be the one to do it.
No, points are so precious. I think we go with 69.
Seems like the safe bet.
Totally legit.
I think we've been thrown enough that
yep,
we should go a little off the beaten path and just do it.
Sounds good to me.
Riley, feel good about it?
I feel good about it, yeah.
And Luke's in, Caleb's in. Okay. It was Morning Dew at the Shrine Auditorium in LA on November 10th, 1967.
Woo! That is some early Jer vocals.
I gotta go. Oh no.
They sound a little bit ahead of their years in that particular one you chose. Yeah, that's early Jerry singing. It's folk Jerry to me. It's jug band Jerry. It's like him listening to I don't know, Appalachian or Irish folk albums and singing with his banjo type of voice, that vibrato thing he was doing then. I thought maybe it would be a little more primal sounding if it were to be 67. That's kind of why I'm saying I think it's a little bit like a year or two ahead in that particular recording. They're really on in that one. But Yeah, 67. Nice pick.
Did you say November 10th, Mike?
Yeah.
So this is Two from the Vault, which I've listened
Two
to
from the vault, the blue one.
7,000 billion million times. That's upsetting.
Luke, you captured the hearts and minds of the Guest of the Year world when you went on your 4-show tear. What have you been up to since then? Have you had to hire security at all?
Just chilling, just working and living up here in Maine and just getting through the winter, snows a lot. And I've been listening to a lot of King Gizzard.
Oh.
Went to the fish run at MSG. That was really fun.
What itch does King Giz scratch?
So for a while, I kind of just pinned him to be like another neo-psych, like modern neo-psychedelic band. Like, there's a lot of them. And I'm not saying that isn't cool. Like, there's a lot of cool bands that do that. I've played in bands that do that. But I just kind of thought they were like another run-of-the-mill, like OC sort of copy. And then I realized, they got like metal songs and they got like electronic songs. And then I started to realize, oh, this is cool. They're just like genre bending. And they can dip into any genre. I'm a huge Fish fan, and it reminds me a lot of early Fish in a way, how they're just like going into these different genres in any given show, but it always sounds like them at the same time. And I think that's really cool for a band to accomplish that. A lot of bands feel like they have to stay in one thing. And I feel like that's a truly psychedelic way to be as a band if you're just going to play whatever you're feeling. And they're jamming a lot now too, which is why they're becoming more and more worth to see. Each show really is unique in a way like the Dead or Fish or any of those types of bands would be doing, but they're not really like a jam band. They're not coming from that world.
Saw somebody on Twitter today refer to King Giz as evil fish, which I thought was apt.
Totally.
It's like fish if all the love and light left their eyes.
Definitely.
It's just like we're gonna play like some doomy evil shit.
Yeah. 30 albums. And they've been around for 4 years? They do 5 albums a year. Each album is totally different. It's insane how they this is like 1962 Beatles, how productive they are.
And they're letting people, tape and bootleg their shows. They're also doing a thing where they're letting any label, any small indie label, even if you just wanted to spend the money on it, you can just release any of their live albums. And then they make it an unofficial, official release. So that's kind of a unique thing they're doing that's different than a lot of new bands. It's kind of like the Dead or Fish thing, but it's a more modern way of doing it. So there's just all these random vinyl and cassette releases of dozens and dozens of different shows. It's becoming its whole little universe, type of thing. It's cool.
Does King Giz get a cut of that, or is it truly just
they just ask for some of the records? I think it's for them. It's kind of similar to the Dead allowing people to just distribute their tapes for free. It's helping get the word out in growing the lore of it more. I'm a sucker for any band that can do that sort of thing. So that's why I started to be I need to pay attention and start listening to them and stop, ignoring it. People telling me to listen to them.
Cool. Luke, just being king up in Maine. Love it. You guys have 5 points, so you need to either get one over on the next. You need to nail the next 2 to win, or you need to get 1 to tie. And if you guys tie, then you guys all get shirts. Guess the Year prize packs.
Whoa, generous host.
Very nice.
Yeah, you guys are very much in this. All right, let's play the song.
Lay down, my dear brother. Lay down and take your rest. Won't you lay your head upon your Savior's breast? I love you, oh, but Jesus loves you the best. And I bid you good night, good night. Good night, and I bid you good night, good night, good night, and I bid you good night, good night, good night. Lay down, my dear brothers, lay down and take your rest. I want you to lay your head upon your Savior's breast. I love you, oh, but Jesus loves you the best. And I bid you good night, good night, good night. And I bid you good night, good night. Walking in Jerusalem just like John. Good night. I bid you good night. I remember right well. I remember right well. Good night. I bid you good night. I bid you good night. Rotten stuff should comfort me. Good night. I bid you good night. I bid you good.
70.
I mean, I was gonna say 70, 71.
Harper College vibes. Very Harper College vibes.
That's what I was thinking.
Binghamton, whatever that Dick's Picks 8 is.
Yeah.
Although I think the New Riders of the Purple Sage maybe joined them on that one, but I can't be sure.
Yeah, it's we don't get any instrumentation.
Yeah.
But it does sound, yeah, I mean, they did a lot of We Bid You Good Nights in 70, 71. It just wasn't performed that much after that period. I mean, a few times in the 80s, but it was mostly concentrated in the early 70s. And, you know, Jerry's voice, and also, I know this is a stretch, but I know that Harper College Dick's Picks is one of the few, and We Bid You Good Nights, that is like a minute long or more than that. Most of them are like 20 or 30 seconds.
Yeah,
That's the one recording where it's extended.
that's a good point. And also, what I was listening to was the crowd.
Right.
Not to say that crowd noise could really be deciphered from show to show. I don't think we're at that point yet, although I
What
think
type of
Guest of the
room
Year-
size?
Yeah, taking the room tone. But I do think you could hear the size of the room in that, and it aligns with those like 70 shows.
Totally legit point. I like that. Yeah, I mean, they did continue to play that song, but I think Donna, when she's in the band, I believe she sings that with them, so she's not singing that one with them. So
Yeah.
70 is, a good one. It could randomly be 71. It's definitely not a 69 like Live Dead one, because I don't know if they do all that extra,
Yeah,
spiced.
to Riley's point, that was a pretty long one, and I think the early ones were pretty short.
Yes, exactly what Riley said. Yeah,
Good call, Riley.
definitely.
70 feels good, everybody.
Yep.
I'm down with it.
All right. We Bid You Good Night at Harper College in Binghamton, New York on May
Nice.
2nd, 1970.
Great
No way
job.
I pulled it.
Great job, guys.
That was
Nice.
impressive. I love that. That was a great team effort there. I mean, obviously great pull there, Caleb, and then Riley with that observation about that it was longer than 30 seconds. That was fucking huge. So Caleb, you knew that from the outset? You're like, sounds like the Binghamton show.
That's one of those ones, like I got upset with the last one because it was Two from the Vault, which I've heard so many times. Harper College, I've heard more. So I think that one might be like deeply ingrained in my brain, but hey, any team can guess the year, but only a few select people can guess the year based on a 50-second long a cappella performance by three guys in 1970.
I wish they did it more often. It's just a sweet way to end a show.
I agree.
Okay, before we move on, Caleb, I want to know what you've been up to, and also you were on the first episode of Guest of the Year, so I'm wondering, when you saw that first Reddit post I made wanting people to come on the show, what were you thinking? Yeah, and what did you think of the whole process there of coming on a podcast that didn't yet exist?
I read the Reddit post and thought, cool, I'll be on this and it'll go for 3 episodes and then nobody will ever hear from it again. So I was like, no real like risk, no commitment, truthfully. You've definitely outpaced what I had expected. But yeah, I was trolling the Reddit threads and saw somebody that said need somebody for a podcast, and I was like, yeah, I'll go on there and listen to myself talk for however long.
Well, thank God you did. And what have you been up to musically, Caleb, or otherwise?
Similarly to Riley, I'm trying to listen to more new music. So I have a Spotify playlist I've been curating. I've been kind of slacking on it the last couple of weeks, but if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Levon Helm Fan Club, like the drummer from the band, Levon Helm Fan Club. Yeah, every week I put out some music that I heard from the week prior that I think people will like, and it's forcing me to listen to contemporary music that I maybe wouldn't listen to typically. Dierks Bentley has a new album that came out this month that I really enjoy. Got the playlist going. I'm always growing my record collection, although I'm at a point now where I'm out of physical space, just like cabinet wise. Like I don't have stacks like living among me. But so I've kind of cooled down a little bit on buying so many records, but there's always another grail to chase, you know?
So are you at the point where you have to eliminate records?
Every couple months or so, I'll go through and pull out some things that I listened to and, you know, was like, this was okay. I'll go trade them at a record store. What I did for a time about a year ago, I need to start doing again, maybe once the summer heats up, pun intended, is start selling a little bit more, going to local record shows and selling. You know, we've got every city has theirs, but St. Louis has one every, quarter or so, a local record show set up in the Czechoslovakian Hall on Kings Highway in St. Louis. It's just a cultural center, and in the gymnasium they set up a bunch of tables and you could sell records. So that's what I've been doing too.
That sounds fun just to do anyways, even if you don't need to make space.
It is fun. Make a little bit of money, talk to some weirdos. Usually the problem with that is I'll make some money on selling stuff and then I'll go to the other vendors and be like, oh, you have this, I have to have this, and then just spend all the money I just made. So
Cool, Caleb. It's great to have you back on the show after a 30 episode break.
Great to be here.
Well, this is intense. So you guys have one song left. You're up by 1 point. So you have to nail it and you win the prize packs. And if you get one, you tie. And if you get two, Kyle, Jared, and Joseph win.
This is crazy, man.
Okay. I'm going to play the song.
I was feeling about dead. Just need a place where I can lay my head. Said, Mister, can you tell me where a man might find a bed? Just grinned, shook my head, no was all I said. Take a load off Fanny.
Who has an inkling?
Let us hear someone else sing, damn it.
Yep, that's the clue.
Who's got
I
some
need to
ideas?
know who else was in the band.
All right, so 90 to 95, that's a Vince era
Vince was there. He was singing. Yep.
I mean, his voice doesn't sound as bad as it would be, I think, later on.
It also doesn't sound like Bruce is there either. So it also makes me think it's pushing further than 91.
I was gonna say 92
I was thinking 92 as well.
because I agree. It didn't sound like Bruce was there, but I don't know. I couldn't tell if I was hearing two pianos, a piano and a synth or not.
I thought the overall presence of keyboard type instruments were actually pretty low in it for the most part. It was just kind of like some quiet organ sort of like thing in the background, kind of like his, fake Hammond sound that he used. And I didn't hear like I think I would hear Bruce maybe singing that chorus. They're all singing it together. Even Phil's in there singing it with them. But it also doesn't have that Jerry like straight up like acoustic sort of tone he got starting in like 93, where it like his electric guitar almost sounds like this like hybrid acoustic electric sort of like crazy thing. It was hard to tell. I mean, the clip wasn't too long. I was actually starting to be like, I want to hone in on Jerry's tone a little more, and then the clip ended. Those are some of my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I think I agree about his that guitar sound. It doesn't sound quite 93 on. And yeah, it does sound like a light piano sound. So I think that would be the guess.
Caleb, what are you thinking?
I agree on 92. There's so darn much writing on it, Our reputations are at stake. No, but I really don't think that they played it a whole lot after 93.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering about that.
I want to say they only hit it like a half dozen more times after 93. Yeah, I mean 92 sounds good.
Yeah, it's like I'm not totally confident in it myself, but it's the one that it kind of makes the most sense if we put it together with this.
And if we do some gamesmanship,
Yeah.
if it's 93, we gain a point and we tie.
Yeah.
If it's 92, we nail it right on the head and we win.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's 94 or 95.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are right. I don't think it's earlier than 92. So with 92, we at least have the chance to win as opposed to, being a year away.
Yep.
Little game henge.
No one objects to 92. Okay. For the first ever team's title, that particular the weight was at Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey on June 17th, 1991. So you guys get, Bruce was there, you got 6 points, you tie.
Wow.
Yeah, what are you thinking there, Luke?
I have the compact disc of that, and I listen to it all the time, and I wish I knew that. That's a great show. I couldn't hear that. To my ears, I didn't hear too much piano going on. I didn't hear Bruce in there. It was also a pretty short clip of the song, so did as much investigating as I could during it.
I didn't want you guys to hear that second verse. Basically exactly what Caleb wanted to hear. Because if you get that second verse in there, it gives a lot away.
Show me who's singing next, brother.
What are you thinking, Riley?
Yeah, no, I mean, we were 1 year off, but probably, if we had heard the second verse, we would have heard Bruce, and, it was, I think we were pretty close. I don't know, I think it's, luck of the draw. I think we should, we tied. I think we had a performance that is, it's a decent performance, I don't.
Very much so. Very much so.
Heck yeah.
Well, and back to the gamesmanship. Had we guessed 93, we would have lost.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a faint Bruce there?
Well, that's a song that just was never very different. Obviously, it's the weight. You can pretty much only do it one way, or people are going to get pissed, as they should. But yeah, I mean, I suppose, that piano. That's what I was I was too late to the draw on really listening intently on that. On was there a synth and a piano going on? And I suppose that there was.
Luke, you won like 4 games. What's your trick for distinguishing 2 pianos from one?
It's just, usually I can hear both of them. In most of the other times, that was one where I was focused in on the voices and seeing if maybe it was a Brent era one. I was just I was focused on the voices and not on the keys, but they were holding back a little bit, as they should in that type of song. It doesn't need to be like littered with people noodling all over keys, instruments. It's like a vocal based song.
Awesome. Well, you guys tie and both teams get prize packs.
Woo!
You guys, brilliant stuff. Against formidable competition. 5 songs, a total of 6 years off between the 5 songs. It was great watching you guys collaborate and build on each other. Especially I think that We Bid You Goodnight, in a very high pressure situation with 2 songs left and 1 year to play with. You needed to nail it, you did. And then it comes back to the weight, which I figured you guys would be pretty close on. Great work, everyone. Subscribe to Guess the Year on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for all the show links, including our new YouTube channel. You can go to guesstheyear.net. And if you want to be contested on the show, sponsor the show, or make comments and ask questions, email us at info@guesstheyear.net. Shout out to Dylan for drawing the posters. Thank you to both teams for coming on. Really fun first game ever of the team format. Thank you so much for listening at home. Thanks to the amazing tapers whose recordings made the show possible. Congratulations to both teams. And remember, it's all one song anyway.
And I bid you good night. Good night. Good night.